promoting a healthy environment. It's the air we breathe. Clean, safe water. Responsible management of our natural resources. We protect and restore for a sustainable future. Environment matters.
Sludge management is a huge expense for when you're treating acid mine drainage. So if we can find a beneficial use of this byproduct of the treatment process, it would be a tremendous savings to the state.
A partnership between the DEP and scientists at West Virginia University looks to develop a commercially viable method for extracting valuable minerals from mine sludge, an effort that, if successful, could bring millions in economic activity to the state. Plus,
no-brainer. I mean, anything that we can do to affect the environment, especially locally, I think it's beneficial to do our part in helping out the planet.
one West Virginia county takes its Recycling Act on the road to rave reviews. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Environment Matters. I'm Greg Adolphson. The huge and continuing problem of dealing with acid mine drainage and the damage it causes to the environment in West Virginia has been well documented. Standard treatments involve introducing alkalinity to neutralize the acid, but doing so causes metal in the solution to precipitate out. What to do with the resulting tons and tons of sludge is a difficult proposition, but a group of researchers may have come up with a creative and potentially profitable way around it. The DEP's Jake Glantz joins us now with more.
Greg, a team of scientists from WVU's Water Research Institute is partnering with the DEP to take what has been an expensive-to-handle waste product and extract something almost as valuable as gold.
Alchemy. It's the medieval forerunner to chemistry that was concerned primarily with attempting to turn base metals, like lead, into gold. While those efforts were not successful, there's something similar going on inside this unassuming brick building outside Morgantown. Only this time, it's not gold they're looking for. They're called rare earth elements, a group of elements on the periodic table: scandium, yttrium, and these guys, elements 57 to 71, the lanthanides. Despite their name, rare earth elements are widely distributed in the rocks of the earth, just rarely concentrated enough to get a commercially viable deposit.
As a result, the supplies are limited to relatively few locations on Earth, and the global market is controlled by relatively few mining operations. China controls about 95% of the imports of rare earth elements to the United States.
So, what makes these rare earth elements so important? Dr. Zimkevich explains.
Well, they're important because they have some really, really good properties as alloys, parts of alloys with metals, ceramics, magnets. They make some very, very powerful but small and light magnets. For example, in a lot of high-tech applications, your cell phone has a magnet that has rare earth elements in it in order to create the vibration. So, and a lot of these have really important defense applications, like scandium, for example, is one of the rare earths. Scandium is used to alloy with aluminum. It creates a very light aluminum alloy. It's not only used in baseball bats, your aluminum baseball bats have some scandium in them, but also high-performance jet aircraft, the F-35, for instance.
They're also in things like computer memory chips, electronic displays, rechargeable batteries, night vision goggles, and the generators inside giant wind turbines. And the worldwide demand for them keeps growing.
Some rare earths are worth a fabulous amount of money. Scandium, the example I just gave you, is I think the market value is about $16,000 per kilogram. That's 2.2 pounds. Others are worth $8 per kilogram. So they're not all equally valuable. So what we pay a lot of attention to is the distribution of the valuable rare earths and the non-valuable rare earths. And so you don't want to spend all your time extracting stuff that is basically a bulk commodity on the world market and not in short supply.
And that's what makes this pilot project in West Virginia so interesting and potentially beneficial. And that's where the DEP comes in.
DEP was approached by the Water Research Institute back in 2015 as a cost share for this the rare earth element extraction process. We've contributed a certain amount of monies and in-kind services. They've also asked for sites where they can collect some of the sludge, and being that the Office of Special Reclamation is probably the largest producer of sludge in the state, we provided them with some good sites for them to collect their samples.
Like this one. The DEP operates a treatment plant here at the former Omega Deep Mine site to handle the acid mine drainage that continues to leak from the abandoned works. The acid mine drainage leaches the rare earth elements from the shales found in and around the coal seams.
It turns out that the source that we're looking at here, the acid mine drainage source, actually has a very high concentration of the more valuable rare earths, the critical rare earth elements and also the heavy rare earth elements. Those are the ones that command the greatest price. Overall, and we've looked at hundreds of samples of sludges across the tri-state area in Maryland, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. And on average, our rare earth ratio of heavy rare earths and criticals to total rare earth concentration is something like 50%. So that's a really good average. The biggest mine, I think in the world, but it's in China, it's the Bayanobo mine, has a rare earth, heavy to total rare earth ratio of about 12%, as opposed to 50. So the fact that we have this enrichment of the more valuable rare earths makes this a really important source.
Finding a commercially viable method to extract those rare earth elements from acid mine drainage could turn what is now a financial liability into an asset. Here at the Omega site, operation and maintenance costs to run the treatment facility average between $90,000 and $100,000 a year.
The treating the water is probably the easy part. The cost with this treatment process comes back to the sludge. What do you do with the sludge? How do you handle the sludge? Really drives the cost of the treatment process.
Sludge management is a huge expense for when you're treating acid mine drainage. So if we can find a beneficial use of this byproduct of the treatment process, it would be a tremendous savings to the state.
Here at the Omega site, the treatment process involves adding hydrated lime to the acid mine drainage, which forms a slurry. The water flows through a clarifier that allows the heavier particulates and sludge to settle to the bottom. The clear water flows off for additional treatment, and the sludge is pumped up the hill into what are called geotubes.
Geotube is nothing other than basically a large perforated tube, and we actually use these pumps here, and we add a polymer to those. Polymer's like a magnet, so it's got a specific charge. The sludge has got a specific charge, and it draws the solids together to make what we call a flock. That flock is then pumped into the geotubes, and then what happens is the pores lets the clean water come out, and it holds the solid in. And over a period of time, that solid staying in that tube will dry. The tube's actually black, so whenever you have sunlight, especially even in the wintertime, it'll still draw heat and help remove that moisture.
Right now, the geotubes are being used as part of the reclamation work at the site as backfill for a high wall, but one day they could represent money in the bank.
A single geotube from this property, we've analyzed this sludge quite a number of times, and a single geotube has about $11,000 worth of rare earths in it, for example. And I think the number of geotubes up there right now gives you a total value sitting up on the property of about $175,000 worth of rare earths right there. So it's not a king's ransom, but nevertheless, it's a way of offsetting the cost of AMD treatment that is going to be valuable. And it also incentivizes someone taking that stuff and doing something with it other than just piling it up.
And there are tons and tons and tons of the stuff piled up all over Appalachia.
This particular mine has a sludge that has maybe 400 grams per ton of rare earth element in it. And that matches some of the biggest deposits in the world right now, those kind of concentrations. And so we consider that commercially attractive.
WVU recently received $2.7 million from the U.S. Department of Energy to begin a second phase of the project, to build and operate a pilot plant to extract the rare earth elements from the acid mine drainage sludge. If successful and the technology can be expanded to an industrial scale, it could be a game changer for the region.
Well, as a source, this is really attractive because you have infrastructure. Now, this is a good example. You've got a rare earth reserve right here, 6 miles from Morgantown, West Virginia. It's on a paved road. It's got power right to the site. And it doesn't take much in order to get a process installed here that can do some of the basic extraction, or at least haul it off to an extraction site. Most of the rare earth mines that are under consideration in the United States or Canada are in the wilderness somewhere. So you have to build a road for maybe 100 miles. You have to build a power line in or put a power station into the wilderness somewhere. So in terms of infrastructure already in place, a workforce that's already here, a trained workforce that frankly is looking for opportunities for economic development and putting food on the table, you've got it right here.
Dr. Zimkevich says based on some early estimates, there is a potential for this developed industry to generate somewhere between $400 million and $1.2 billion of economic activity per year in the central and northern Appalachian Basin. For Environment Matters, I'm Jake Glantz.
Thanks, Jake. The current enrichment process for rare earth elements uses something called heat bleaching. It takes low-grade ore and uses a chemical process to extract and concentrate the valuable elements contained within it. Dr. Zimkevich says, in a sense, just about every mine in Appalachia is a natural heat bleach. The presents are all unwrapped and the decorations are all back in the attic, and the only thing left to do come January is figure out what to do with the now not so freshly cut Christmas tree. But if you thought the only option involved a wood chipper, you'd be wrong. The DEP's Brianna Hickman joins us now with details.
That's right, Greg. For the past 15 years, the DEP has partnered with the DNR to help folks recycle their used Christmas trees into something besides mulch. As they say in the gangster movies, these trees are about to be sleeping with the fishes. That's because the DNR collects them to use as fish attractors and improve fish habitat in lakes throughout West Virginia.
We put out individual ones that are attractors, and if we put out a whole bunch of them, it actually improves the habitat by adding some complexity. Also, as the trees break down, bacteria and little critters feed on those, and then little fish will come in and feed off of those. Pretty soon the bass and other fish will come in, so they kind of congregate fish, hence they're called fish attractors.
As you might expect with temperatures hovering in the single digits, the area around the space heater was a pretty popular place to be. But despite the frigid air, the flow of cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks hauling trees into Capital Market was pretty steady.
I am shocked. The business has been fantastic. I believe we've had close to 300 people come in already, and on such a cold morning, that was kind of surprising. We have just some giveaways to show our appreciation, and also people that bring their tree down can sign up for one of our 4-door prizes. 3 of them are one-night stays at Twin Falls State Park, and then we're also giving away a gift certificate to Capital Market.
I've done it for the past 5 years. It helps the DNR with fish habitat in our state's lakes.
And it also keeps the trees from taking up space in a landfill.
Any organic materials, particularly that we can keep out of landfills that can be composted or recycled, any way we can use them that doesn't involve throwing them in a landfill, we always try to find ways to use materials like that.
Most of these trees are headed for the larger flood control reservoirs operated by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, places like Summersville, Stonewall Jackson, Sutton, East Lynn, and Cheat Lake. Since they're man-made lakes, most of the underwater structure was removed during construction.
All of those have a big drawdown to make room for flood control, and there are also not a lot of structure because the Corps does not want a lot of things that could maybe flow down the lake and stop up their water intake structure. So we secure these. We also fell trees along shoreline later in the year, and we're also very careful to cable those so that they don't become a problem for the Corps later on.
The DNR will begin placing the trees in shoreline areas while the lake is still drawn down to its winter pool level. Biologists also sink trees in some of the deeper parts of the lake as well. By spring, when the water comes back up, these trees will become part of the aquatic ecosystem.
The habitat habitat work is something that we spend a lot of time on. We have a federal aid grant to do this kind of work, and maintaining and enhancing our present habitat is fundamental to ensuring good fisheries for people to have and to enjoy into the future. So that's one of the main reasons we're doing this.
Greg, once they're in the water, the trees last 1 to 3 years before they break down, so the DNR needs a steady supply. In addition to the trees folks drop off at the market, Christmas tree vendors also donate their unsold trees, although we're told there were fewer of those this year. For Environment Matters, I'm Brianna Hickman.
Thanks, Brianna. The DEP's annual Christmas tree drop-off at Capitol Market is usually held the first Saturday in January. World Wetlands Day is celebrated every February 2nd. Wetlands include ponds, marshes, bogs, and seeps, and are home to a wide variety of plant and animal life. West Virginia has up to 102,000 acres of wetlands, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, about 1% of the acreage of the state. Wetlands provide a number of benefits. They serve as important fish and wildlife habitat. They improve water quality by removing and retaining nutrients, processing chemical and organic waste, and filtering sediment. They also temporarily store floodwaters. The majority of West Virginia's rare and endangered species, as many as 150 species, depend on wetlands for survival. The theme for this year's World Wetlands Day is Wetlands for a Sustainable Urban Future, which highlights how urban wetlands make cities more livable. You can find out more by visiting worldwetlandsday.org. The Ohio River Sweep has been honored by AmericanRivers.org for collecting over 1 million pounds of trash. The Ohio River Sweep is an annual event organized by URSANCO, the Ohio River Water Sanitation Commission. Since 1989, thousands of volunteers have helped remove tons and tons of trash from roughly 3,000 miles of shoreline from Pittsburgh to Cairo, Illinois. Cleanup efforts along the West Virginia shoreline are coordinated by the DEP, which is a partner agency of URSANCO. This year's Ohio River Sweep is set for June 16th. You can find out more, including where to volunteer, by visiting URSANCO's website, ursanco.org. 21 West Virginia watershed groups will share nearly $100,000 in Stream Partners grant funds. The West Virginia Stream Partners program was established by the state legislature to encourage citizens to work in partnership with appropriate state agencies so that the state's rivers and streams are safe for swimming, fishing, and other forms of recreation, and can support appropriate public and commercial purposes and provide habitat for plant and animal life. The funds are provided by the DEP, the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources, the West Virginia Conservation Agency, and the State Division of Forestry. For a complete list of this year's grant recipients, visit our website, dep.wv.gov, and if you'd like to find out more about some of those volunteer watershed groups and the good work that they do, check out the short film, Currents, which is available on the Environment Matters YouTube channel. The DEP recently awarded $1.3 million in REAP recycling grants to 23 organizations and municipalities throughout the state. REAP stands for Rehabilitation Environmental Action Plan, and is the DEP program that coordinates all the various cleanup programs throughout the state, like the Pollution Prevention and Open Dump Program and the DEP statewide tire collection events. The Cabell County Solid Waste Authority is taking its recycling program on the road, thanks to a DEP REAP grant and the partnership of a local community organization. The DEP's Mike Huff has the details.
Now, are y'all going to do this every month?
Yep, every month. Yes, ma'am.
You won't get much argument that there's a demand for recycling in Cabell County.
No brainer. I mean, anything that we can do to affect the environment, especially locally, I think it's beneficial to do our part in helping out the planet.
Because of reduced funding over the last few years, recycling options in Cabell County have narrowed somewhat. The recycling trailers, which can hold up to a ton of recyclables, are one way the Cabell County Solid Waste Authority is trying to reverse that trend.
This effort hatched out probably 2 years ago is when we initially came up with the idea. We lost several sites out in the county that were funded by the county and municipalities. We initially had 8 sites around the county. We lost 4 of them, and we wanted to replace those sites with some sort of recycling effort. We couldn't afford to continue paying Rumpke because we lost those funds from the county and municipalities. So we ended up, hatching this idea with, these trailers. We would go out and we would collect the materials, and then Goodwill would process them.
Goodwill of Kiowa partners with Cabell County to process cardboard, mixed paper, and aluminum and tin cans at its recycling center on West 19th Street. It's a partnership that has benefited both organizations.
Definitely, because it gives people more of an opportunity. If they're unable to bring it to one of our stores or bring it to our recycling center on 19th Street West, they can go to the mobile recycling units, and then it still helps reduce the carbon footprint and help us, save the earth.
The trailers are currently on a rotating schedule, setting up every Saturday in either Milton, Lesage, Huntington, or Culloden. Those locations may shift as the program moves forward, depending on the demand. The Cabell County Solid Waste Authority has the most up-to-date scheduling information on its website. You can also follow them on Facebook. On this first Saturday at the Huntington location, traffic was steady and enthusiastic.
We have been recycling before, and then this thing sprung up, so we're trying to take advantage of it. And it's really helpful for us. We had like 1 garbage can a week, and then all of a sudden when the recycling stopped, we had 2 garbage cans a week. So it's nice. We're back to 1, and we can recycle our stuff.
This is our first effort inside Huntington city limits. I've had a lot of contact through Facebook and through email asking when this site was going to set up in Huntington. So we're expecting a decent turnout today, at least what we had in Milton. I'm hoping to see that.
The trailers were purchased with funds from a DEP REAP grant.
There's no way we could have gotten to this point without the funds from the REAP grant. There's absolutely no way. Recycling would absolutely be dead, with the exception of Barbersville. So we're very happy that those funds came our way. This is actually, and I tell the board this every time we meet, we're building a foundation is what we're doing. And this is going to be, stable enough and go any direction that it has to, that we ensure that recycling maintains part of Cabell County.
And anytime that Mark or I come up with an idea, or one of our team members do, we usually can figure out how to hammer it out. And it's ever since we've partnered with them, we've just continued to increase our recycling efforts.
In Huntington, I'm Mike Huff for Environment Matters.
Residents can also use the Solid Waste Authority's new drop-off center in West Huntington, which also offers plastic and glass recycling. It opened this past October and is located at the Old National Guard Armory at 800 Virginia Avenue. While dropping off at the mobile recycling trailer is free, the Virginia Avenue location costs $75 a year to use. Residents can purchase a key fob that will allow them access to the gated site. The Solid Waste Authority will prorate the cost for passes purchased after October 2017 and through September 2018 when a new plan year starts. For more information, you can visit their website. It's ccswa.us. About 500 people have purchased passes so far. Our friends at the Recycling Coalition of West Virginia, in conjunction with West Virginia Solid Waste Management Board, have announced the winners of this year's annual West Virginia Recycles Youth Contest. The contest encourages students from kindergarten through high school to use their creativity and learn about recycling. This is the winning entry in the 2nd through 3rd grade category by Carly Smith, a student at Confidence Elementary School in Putnam County. Lily Villanave from Park Middle School took top honors in the 7th through 8th grade category for her sculpture entitled, "Never Forget to Care for Your Planet." Students also submitted original songs and videos. Here's an excerpt from the winning entry in the high school category by Alexander Ayers, a 16-year-old 11th grader from Greenbrier West High School, who wrote and performed this song about recycling. Take a listen.
'Cause you don't know what it's like to be that little plastic bottle being buried on the ground. If I were given another chance to make this place a better place, I'd go another time around.
And finally, the winning entry in the 4th through 6th grade category is from 12-year-old Malachi Unger from Morgan County, who used Legos to create this pretty impressive stop-motion animation video to tell the story of employees recycling and, in some cases, not recycling.
Hey, why'd you throw that in the trash? Because I can. Payday?
Hello there, I am the monitor, and I saw you throw that thing in the trash the other day, and I'll have you know our trash bill is going through the roof, and this is coming out of your paycheck.
You can see and hear all of the winning entries in their entirety on the Recycling Coalition of West Virginia's website, wvrecycles.com. And this wraps up another season of Environment Matters, our 6th season. We'll be back with another season of all new stories in the spring following a brief hiatus. In the meantime, you can follow the DEP on Twitter for the latest news and information. We're at DEPWV, and be sure to subscribe to the Environment Matters YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. You can find us at Environment Matters WVDEP. We leave you now along a snowy Paint Creek in Fayette County. On behalf of all of us here at West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, along with our broadcast partners, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
More than 800 people with one mission, promoting a healthy environment. We are the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection.